Let me describe something that has made thousands of people quietly think they're going crazy. You meet someone. They pursue you, warm, attentive, all in. Things go well. Maybe too well. You have a perfect weekend, a conversation where you both admit how into this you are, a moment where it finally feels safe. And then, almost on cue, they vanish into themselves. The texts get shorter. The warmth cools. They suddenly need space, or get irritated by things that didn't bother them a week ago, or start finding small flaws in you that weren't there before. Nothing happened. That's the part that breaks people. You replay every moment looking for your mistake, and there isn't one. The mistake, in their mind, was that it got good. This pattern has a name. It's called deactivation, and once you understand it, the most baffling behavior in dating suddenly makes perfect, painful sense. Let's name who does this, because it isn't random. Roughly 1 in 4 people leans toward what psychologists call an avoidant attachment style, a deep, usually unconscious wiring that treats closeness itself as a threat. Not closeness gone wrong. Closeness going right. And here's the first thing I need you to absorb, because it inverts everything your gut is telling you. For an avoidant person, the danger signal isn't conflict or distance. It's intimacy. When the two of you get close enough that they start to truly depend on you, close enough that losing you would actually hurt, an alarm goes off somewhere below their awareness. The relationship didn't get worse. It got real. And real is precisely the thing their nervous system learned, a long time ago, to treat as a trap. So they do the thing that confuses everyone who loves them. At the exact moment you'd expect them to lean in, they pull away. To understand why, you have to go back to where this wiring gets built, usually in childhood, long before they could choose it. Picture a child whose needs for comfort were met inconsistently, or met with discomfort, a parent who showed up when it was convenient but went cold or irritated when the child needed too much. That child learns a brutal lesson very early. Needing someone is dangerous. Depending on a person is how you get let down. So they adapt, brilliantly and tragically, they learn to not need. They become self-reliant to the point of armor. They tell themselves they're fine alone, better alone, freer alone. And that armor works, it protects them through a whole childhood. The problem is it doesn't dissolve when they grow up. It just goes quiet, waiting. And it wakes up at one specific trigger, when another person gets close enough to matter. Here's my first honest take, this is not a character flaw, and it's not a choice they're making to hurt you. It's a child survival strategy still running in an adult's body, decades after the danger passed. Now let me show you the actual switch, the mechanism, because this is where you stop taking it personally. When intimacy crosses that threshold, an avoidant person's mind does something specific to dial the closeness back down. Psychologists call these deactivating strategies, and watch how cleverly they work. The person suddenly starts noticing your flaws, magnifying small ones, manufacturing reasons you're not quite right. They get nostalgic for being single, or fixate on an ex who's conveniently unavailable. They pick a fight over nothing, or go silent, or bury themselves in work. Every one of these does the same job, it creates distance and kills the unbearable feeling of needing you. Here's the key, they are very often not aware they're doing it. To them it doesn't feel like, I'm scared of how close we are. It feels like, I've realized this isn't right, or, I just need some space to breathe. The fear disguises itself as a reasonable doubt. That's what makes it so devastating to be on the other end. You're not fighting their feelings for you. You're fighting a defense system designed to hide those feelings, from you, and from them. And here's the cruelest twist, the one that traps the partner, the more they care, the harder they pull. We assume that if someone really likes us, they'll relax and come closer. With an avoidant, it can be the opposite. The deeper their feelings get, the louder the alarm, the stronger the urge to retreat. So the relationship hits a strange ceiling, every time it gets close to real intimacy, they bolt, and every time you back off, they drift back in, intrigued again now that the threat of closeness has receded. Warm, cold, warm, cold. If you've lived inside this, you know the whiplash. And it sets a brutal trap for the other person, especially if that person leans anxious, wired to chase reassurance. Which brings us to the single most important thing I can tell you if you're caught in this. When they pull away, every instinct in your body screams, chase. Reassure them. Prove your love harder. Text more, show up more, demand to know what's wrong, fix it. I need you to understand that this is the precise wrong move, and why. To an avoidant nervous system, your pursuit doesn't read as love. It reads as pressure, as the walls closing in, as exactly the engulfment they're terrified of. So your chasing doesn't pull them back. It confirms the alarm. It makes the trapped feeling worse, and they retreat further, and now you chase harder, and the whole thing accelerates into the ground. Here's my second take, and it's a hard one: when you chase a deactivating avoidant, you are not loving them more. You are, without meaning to, becoming the very threat their defense system was built to escape. The harder you grip, the more you prove their oldest fear right, that closeness means losing yourself. So what actually works? I want to be careful here, because there's a lot of toxic advice in this corner of the internet that says, play it cool, pull away harder, make them chase. That's manipulation, and it builds nothing real. The honest move is different, and quieter. First, stop chasing, not as a tactic to trigger them, but because crowding a frightened person never works and it abandons you. When you stop pursuing, you remove the pressure, and you give their nervous system room to feel its own pull toward you instead of its panic. Second, and more important, get clear-eyed about whether they're willing to face this. Because here's the truth that the how to handle an avoidant advice always dodges: you cannot love someone out of this pattern. You can stop feeding it, you can create safety, you can be steady and non-threatening. But the actual work of feeling the fear and not running from it, that is theirs to do, and only theirs. No amount of your patience can do it for them. Which leads to the thing I most need you to hear, because it's where people waste years. You have to watch what they do when given space and safety, not what you hope they'll do. An avoidant person who is aware of their pattern and willing to push against it, who, after pulling away, comes back and says some version of, I got scared, I do that, I'm working on it, that person can absolutely build a real relationship. The pattern is changeable, people do the work and become securely loving partners. But an avoidant who pulls away, blames you for it, refuses to look at it, and simply expects you to absorb the whiplash indefinitely is showing you the ceiling of what this will ever be. Your steadiness is a gift. It is not a renovation service. The most loving thing you can do, for both of you, is offer safety without abandoning yourself, and then believe them when their actions show you whether they're walking toward you or just managing the distance. So here's what I want you to carry out of this. If someone chases you hard and then goes cold the instant it gets real, you are very likely watching deactivation, a frightened nervous system treating your closeness as danger, not a verdict on your worth. It isn't about your mistake. There wasn't one. Chasing them confirms the fear and makes it worse. The move is to stop pursuing, hold your own ground, offer calm instead of pressure, and then watch honestly. Do they turn back toward you and own it, or do they just wait for the closeness to feel safely far away again? One of those is a person worth your patience. The other is a pattern that will quietly eat your years. Real love, when it's safe enough to land, doesn't run from the good moments. It finally stops needing to. So here's what they're actually doing when they go cold right as it gets good, and what to do about it. They're not losing interest, they're hitting an alarm that says closeness equals danger, and you're chasing rings that alarm louder. Stop pursuing. Offer steadiness, not pressure. Then watch whether they walk toward you or just manage the distance, because that, not the warm weekends, is your real answer. If this named someone you've been losing sleep over, subscribe, one mind hack at a time.